I want to start by saying that I found Jurassic World Rebirth to be very entertaining. During the first and especially the middle portion of this movie, I was given a feeling that this franchise hasn't successfully given me in a long time, and I was honestly surprised. So, none of the previous Jurassic World movies really impressed me. I know there's some people that love the first one, and I think it's significantly better than the other two sequels, but to me, it wasn't anything all that special. And a big reason for that is the people in charge of this franchise, for whatever reason, have just decided that dinosaurs themselves aren't that exciting, right? The characters are talking about how there's fading interest in the theme park and that people are bored of dinosaurs. And that's been repeated in all of the sequels since then, right? And in that first Jurassic World movie, the idea of, people being tired of the old and wanting something new, that works really well as kind of a meta commentary on remakes and reboots. It's ironic and it's on the nose, but I still think it's a fun idea. But then the next two movies, Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, they just go further and further down a road where I don't think the creators even understand the reason why we make these movies or why we see these movies anymore. No one is bored of dinosaurs. I don't know how more clearly I could say that. You don't need to give me some super mega T-Rex that's been mutated and crossed with Megamind or whatever. Just give me the T-Rex. Just give me the regular T-Rex, the old-fashioned. There's nothing wrong with it. But because this franchise insisted or believes that dinosaurs are boring, then they had to make the dinos more and more ridiculous as the series went on. And as a result of that, right, if you make the dinos more advanced each movie, then our main characters got to do the same thing to keep up. And so that's why Chris Pratt becomes like Vin Diesel by the end of this last trilogy, right? Those three movies, sure, they deliver on some over-the-top action, this wild, entertaining stuff, but it's at the cost of all the survival horror elements that made the first film successful. People forget that the first Jurassic Park movie, yes, it's very adventurous, so it makes you forget, but it's really a horror movie at the end of the day, at its root, right? And before anyone argues with me in the comments, horror, it's a large umbrella. There's multiple genres under it. It's not all ghosts and jump scares. The original Jurassic Park, while yes, it is an adventure, it is still a survival horror movie. And being able to relate to those original characters, they were grounded, they were clever, they were intuitive, but they were grounded enough to where you could relate to them as they were trying to navigate this dangerous island full of dinosaurs. That's what makes it such a good movie, in my opinion. The special effects, the writing, all that plays into it. But the fact that you're following these very grounded, albeit clever, and intuitive main characters, that's what sells it. But because these recent movies had strayed so far beyond being relatable or grounded by any means, it led to, oversaturating the actual threats of the franchise and diminishing them with these constant hybrids and upgrades and mutations. And so ultimately that reached the natural conclusion in Dominion, where everything felt so empty and shallow and even low stakes, despite the fact that the action itself was as big as it's ever been. So I say all this to make a point. Jurassic World Rebirth comes so close to learning all those lessons from the previous two movies and returning this franchise back to its ways. Sadly, it loses that in the final act, but the action in Rebirth, while still over the top, was much more rooted in reality, or at least, this reality where we're accepting that dinosaurs exist, right? It was much more rooted than the previous movies. Our main characters, they have some cartoonishly lucky breaks. They're the typical, stereotypical mercenaries, but they aren't as unfathomable as anything before, right? They're not over-the-top action heroes. The first two acts of this movie, in my opinion, brought me back to feeling like there's danger lurking behind every tree. And while the tone stays far away from being anything too dark or anything, this movie, to me, brings the franchise back down to earth after spending an extended time away and kind of taps back into that horror element, not all the way, but I really enjoyed both the sequences on the boat early on. First with the small family that gets, flipped over, and then afterwards once they're rescued and they're on the bigger boat. That whole sequence to me felt like Jaws on steroids, and I thought the action, the tension, the horror was especially well done in that sequence. I even enjoyed their time once they began navigating the island. As someone who read the original book last summer, I was thrilled to see that they adapted the river raft chase scene with the T-Rex. That was an excellent scene from the book, and I was happy to see it on screen. You can call me simple, but if your movie gets me to do the Leo pointing meme at least one time, then I'll have to give you some credit. I have to tip my hat a little bit. And again, I thought that scene was perfectly done. I'm glad that this franchise finally pulled off that scene because it's one of the best parts in the book, and we were just waiting to finally see it done. And yeah, look, I don't want to hype up the horror aspect of this movie too much because it still falls like 25% short of really capturing that sense of wonder and danger in the original movie. And I kind of think we'll probably never get that again because of how oversaturated it is. But to me, Jurassic World Rebirth is a drastic improvement from the previous two movies. And I would argue it's maybe even slightly better than the first Jurassic World movie. Like, if you were to tell me that Rebirth is in your top 3 movies for the Jurassic Park franchise, then I might agree with you. And that's not a huge accomplishment or anything, considering the quality of some of these movies, but it is a step in the right direction. What wasn't a step in the right direction, unfortunately, is this movie derailing the first 2 acts for some dorky looking creature that effectively was no different than any real life dinosaur, right? Like, functionally, whatever this thing at the end is called, it acts no different from any of the other dinosaurs. There was no reason for this to be a mutant thing. There was no reason to replace the regular dinosaurs. It felt strange and alien, and it kind of took me out of the movie a little bit. And I just don't understand why this franchise thinks that the main selling point, which are the dinosaurs, is somehow a weakness. We want the dinosaurs. We are all here for the dinosaurs. We don't want whatever weird mutation thing this is. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm on an island and the audiences actually love these weird mutations, but I genuinely think the movie would have landed its third act much better if it was just purely focused on giving us some more and different dinosaur interactions and set pieces rather than trying to show off this weird, great big CGI monstrosity, right? For as exciting and as well done as some of the earlier set pieces were, I felt like that third act just kind of ends on a whimper, right? We even get this half-hearted fake out death that it just makes no sense. We don't see how he got out, how he survived. He just shows up. He's there. It's silly. But, you know, and like I said, the clever and intuitive ways that the original movie and the original character showed you when they were hiding or trying to avoid being, you know, caught by one of these dinosaurs, that's what I want to see in these movies. I don't need Chris Pratt riding his motorcycle or doing, you know, Jedi mind tricks on the raptors. This movie, I'll give it credit, at least and understood that we didn't want that, but it needed just a little bit more, right? All the stuff with the smaller family that ends up on the island, I thought their survival was great, but the main mercenary characters came up a little bit short, and that's what disappointed me. I think if you could have gave me some more stuff out of them, I probably would have enjoyed it more. But to end this on a few more positive notes, I do like that this movie dedicated itself to showing us some different dinosaur interactions rather than just running back the same ones that we've already seen. I know I complain about the third act focusing on mutations, but the first 2 acts actually did a good job of showing us the dinosaurs and giving us the point of this franchise, right? And I like that they showed us some dinosaurs that usually get left out of the spotlight, right? Think about all the Jurassic World movies. What did you see? It was raptor, raptor, raptor. That's like all we saw in those 3 movies. And so it was refreshing to just move completely away from the raptors. I don't think there's a single chase sequence with raptors involved in this movie. We get a fake out scene, which I thought was great and funny, but I don't think the raptors are really shown too much in this movie at all. And we only get one T-Rex scene, which I think maybe is a little disappointing. I would have liked to see more of it, but again, we've seen the T-Rex a bunch of times. I don't think the answer is a mutation, but I like that at least for the first 2 acts of this movie, we were getting other dinosaurs that we don't normally see, right? The pterodactyl, and I don't know all the dinosaur names, but you get what I'm trying to say. Overall, I would say this movie pleasantly surprised me for about the first hour, hour and a half. I went into this with very low expectations because I had heard that it was another miss in the franchise. And while I wouldn't say it was a direct hit, I don't think it was a complete misstep either. I think, in all honesty, if they can just learn from a few of the mistakes that they made, especially towards the end of this movie, go back to the drawing board, polish some things up, drop something a little more fresh, then I'll be excited to see where this goes from here. Like, I'll go see wherever whatever sequel comes out off of this. So I want to know, do you agree or disagree with me here? Please leave me a comment letting me know what you think about Jurassic World Rebirth if you saw it. Don't forget to leave a like and hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching my review, and I'll have more videos coming soon.